Hey there, thank you for joining me again in today's video. We'll be doing a review of the newest product in the Kill Cover line of base product from Clio, the new matte foundation. I have somewhat of a high expectation for this product and I'm very excited to be able to get my hands on it to review on this channel. Aside from reviewing the new matte foundation, I'll also be doing a little bit of a comparison between the new matte foundation and the Kill Cover Glow foundation towards the end of the video, so stay tuned to find out more. The Kill Cover New Matte Foundation is currently being retailed on the Club Clio official website for $27 for 35 grams of product, and you can currently get this product in a set together with a foundation brush. This foundation brush is a short and dense dome type foundation brush with pretty soft bristle, and this works pretty well in applying this type of matte foundation to the skin. There are in total 7 different shades in the shade range of the Kill Cover New Matte Foundation, and the shade that I chose for myself is 2.5 Ivory. This is a lighter shade than the shade that I got for the Kill Cover Glow Foundation, which was 3.5 Vanilla. However, I want to point out right away that upon doing an oxidization test, it seems that this new matte foundation has pretty severe oxidization, and the tones will change from a slightly cool neutral undertone to a peachy undertone, and the oxidization of this new matte formulation seems to be more severe than the Glow foundation formulation in the same range. For the first impression wear test, I used the brush that came with the product to apply it on one half of my face. As expected of a matte foundation, the texture of this is quite thick, and when I pump the foundation out onto the back of my hand, you can see that it is not runny at all. Looking at one half of my face with the foundation already applied, you can see that this foundation is definitely a high coverage foundation. And yes, right now the foundation looks pretty light on my skin, but as I already mentioned, it does oxidize pretty severely. On the other side of my face, instead of using the brush, I use a damp sponge for application to see if I could adjust the coverage of this foundation. Here is a comparison of my complete application of the foundation and my bare face. As you can see, even though the sponge application side does look a little bit more sheer, the difference in coverage between the two sides of my face is not really significant. Zooming in for a closer look at the coverage in the butterfly zone, I was honestly super surprised at how this foundation seemed to flawlessly cover up everything that I wanted to cover in this area. This was especially the case on the brush application side. I felt that the combination of the brush and this foundation gives a very flawless coverage, and at the same time, I did not see any creasing or powderiness that usually happen with a matte foundation around the crack of my nose as well as around the corner of my mouth. The coverage was also very good on the side where I used the damp sponge for application, although because the coverage there is a little bit sheerer, I can still see some redness as well as a little bit of texture on the side of my nose. I like the fact that even though this new matte foundation has a finish that is on the matte side, there is a little bit of an inner glow that is still showing through, so my skin still looks like skin. After finishing the rest of my makeup and let everything sit on my face for about half an hour, I also did a transfer test with this foundation, and as you can see, the result shows that there was no transferring onto the piece of facial tissue that I used, and furthermore, you can also not see any kind of marks that was left over on my face from using the facial tissue to blot. Let's now take a look at how this new matte foundation held up after 8 hours of wear. From this side-by-side comparison, you can see that I definitely had gotten quite oily and shiny in the butterfly zone, and around the mouth area you can also start to see a little bit of powderiness and maybe a little bit of dryness. Zooming in again to take a closer look at the butterfly zone on the brush application side, you can see that this new matte foundation has broken down pretty badly, and it also started to crease around the side of my nose. Around the corner of my mouth, I can see some of the dry patches of skin that I have in that area, and I can also see the specks of powder coming from the foundation. Similarly, on the side of the sponge application, the foundation had also bulged up around the side of my nose, and I had also lost some of the coverage on the butterfly zone, which means that you can now see pretty clearly all of the redness in that area. Because the coverage on this side is a little bit sheerer, around the corner of my mouth, I did not see as bad of dryness as on the other side of my face. Even though I had some criticism of this new matte foundation and the way it wore in my butterfly zone during the first impression wear test, I had actually tried to apply this foundation a couple of different ways since that time, and I have figured out a way to best apply this foundation so as to ensure very minimal breakdown and also very long wear. And that application technique that I want to talk to you guys about is the combination of using both the brush that came with the product and the wet sponge. So first, I would spread very thin layers of the product with the brush that came with the product onto my skin, and then I follow up with the wet sponge to really work the product into my skin and also take away some excess at the same time. This application technique ensures that I have very thin layers of coverage on my skin that still does a very good job of covering up the pores and pigmentation I have in the butterfly zone, but because the coverage is very thin, I don't have a lot of product on my skin, so I don't produce a lot of oil in the butterfly zone, which is the thing that creates the creasing and the bulging of the product in the first place. Let's now do a little bit of a comparison between the new matte formula and the glow formula of the Kill Cover foundation. For the new matte formula, I use the shade 2.5, and for the glow formula, I use 3.5. On the face, these two shades actually didn't look as differently as I thought they would. As you can see, the Kill Cover New Matte Foundation definitely has a more matte finish and also a higher coverage, although the matte finish of this new matte foundation is not a flat matte finish, closer to an inner glow finish, as you can still see a little bit of shine on the high point of my cheek. In terms of coverage in the butterfly zone, the new matte foundation wins over the glow foundation as it seems to cover up texture and smooth out any pores that I have much better. Interestingly, the new matte foundation also seems to perform better with the dryness around the corner of my mouth, especially if you use the application technique that I mentioned previously. Overall, I think Clio did a very good job with this new Kill Cover New Matte Foundation, and I think this is going to be one of my most used foundation this summer because I like that it has very good texture and pigmentation coverage while still feel light on the skin, and even though it is a matte foundation, I did not feel any kind of dryness or tightness in the cheek areas, which is the area of my face that tend to get a little bit dry throughout the day. Even if you have a drier skin type, I believe that you can still enjoy the benefits of using this foundation on your skin with a little bit of skin prepping. That is all for today's video, guys. I highly recommend that you check out this Kill Cover New Matte Foundation from Clio. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by this product at all, no matter what skin type you have, especially if you use the application technique that I mentioned in this video for this foundation. Hit the like button if you have enjoyed this video, and also consider subscribing to my channel for more content on Korean beauty in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.